On my wedding day, the groom just vanished. Heartbroken, a message arrived minutes later: I love someone else. Don't look for me. But that was when my billionaire boss leaned in and whispered, "Pretend I'm the groom today." What happened next shocked absolutely everyone. Screaming with fear on my wedding day, I felt like life had finally given me that moment every girl dreams of. The huge banquet hall was drowning in white roses and cream peonies. Gold chandeliers reflected off the marble floor, and soft music filled the room with a special atmosphere. Everything looked so beautiful, as if I were inside an expensive romantic movie. I stood in the bridal suite before a large mirror, trying to calm my shaking hands. The white dress fit perfectly, the long veil flowed to the floor, and the makeup artist smoothed a lock of hair by my face. "You are the most beautiful bride," Mom smiled, barely holding back tears. I hugged her. "Thank you. I hope everything goes perfectly." Mom stroked my hair affectionately. "Today starts a new chapter in your life." I sincerely wanted to believe that. Igor and I had been together for almost 4 years. We met by chance in a cafe, started dating, made plans, looked for an apartment, and dreamed of a family. Of course, we argued sometimes, like all couples, but I never doubted he loved me. At least that's what I thought. The wedding planner carefully opened the door. Everything is ready. The guests have gathered. I took a deep breath. My heart was beating so loudly it felt like everyone could hear it. As the doors opened, the music got louder. The guests rose from their seats. Everyone was smiling. Photographers began snapping pictures continuously. I walked slowly down the aisle, trying not to look around. My eyes searched for only one person, but there was no one at the altar. I stopped. Maybe he was just held up. It happens. The MC quickly took control of the situation. "Dear friends, a brief technical pause." The guests laughed softly. Someone kept taking photos. The musician started playing the melody again. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I noticed the organizers starting to whisper to each other. Mom looked at me inquisitively. I just shrugged. My father was already talking to someone on the phone. After a few more minutes, the smiles began to fade from the guests' faces. Someone whispered to a neighbor. Someone checked the time. For the first time, I felt an unpleasant coldness inside. I took my phone and called Igor. "The subscriber is unavailable." Once more. Again. No answer. "Maybe traffic?" my friend Katya said cautiously. I nodded. Although I knew perfectly well, it was only a 10-minute drive to the restaurant. A few more minutes passed. The MC had stopped joking. The music stopped. The huge hall fell unusually quiet. The organizers were rushing between the entrance and the service rooms. Mom tried to smile at the guests, but her eyes betrayed her anxiety. I felt my breathing become heavier and heavier. Could there have been an accident? Maybe he wasn't feeling well? I clung to any explanation just to avoid thinking of the worst. At that moment, an organizer quickly approached me. "Excuse me, your boss is among the guests." I looked up surprised. My boss? Yes. Alexander Volkov. I felt lost. I hadn't invited him personally. A few months ago, the company landed a major contract thanks to our team's work. And my father, who partnered with our firm, had likely sent him an invitation. I carefully glanced toward the guests. Alexander was indeed sitting in one of the back rows. As always, an impeccable dark suit, a calm gaze, and an utterly composed expression. He wasn't joining the conversations, wasn't asking questions, just watching what was happening. In 3 years of working there, I had never once seen him lose his composure. He was respected. He was feared. Dozens of rumors swirled around him. They said he became a millionaire before 40, that he never made decisions based on emotion, and that he could understand a person better than any psychologist in minutes. I always kept things strictly professional with him. He was my CEO, and nothing more. Just then, the organizer approached me again. "You've been sent a phone." "By whom?" "An unknown courier asked for it to be given to you personally." My heart sank. I took the device. The screen was already unlocked. A single new message from Igor was glowing. On it, my fingers were trembling. I opened it. "Forgive me. I can't. I love someone else. Don't look for me. It's all over." The world seemed to cease to exist. The noise of the guests vanished. The music disappeared. I couldn't even hear my own breathing anymore. I just stared at the screen, not believing that a few lines could destroy 4 years of life. Tears rolled slowly down my cheeks. I didn't scream. I didn't faint, didn't make a scene. I just stood there, not knowing how to go on living. And at that exact moment, a calm, confident man's voice sounded behind me. So he really decided to run away. I slowly turned around. Standing before me was Alexander Volkov. He looked deep into my eyes, took another step closer, leaned in slightly, and whispered, "Pretend that I am the groom today." Alexander watched me calmly, as if he hadn't just proposed the craziest idea of my life. "Pretend that I am the groom today," he repeated quietly. I shook my head in confusion. "Do you understand what you're saying?" "I understand perfectly." "That's impossible." "It's possible." I looked helplessly at the guests. Over 200 people watched the scene with curiosity. Some were filming on their phones, others whispered, while my relatives looked back and forth from me to the entrance with anxiety. I felt every second turn this day into a humiliation. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, barely audible. Alexander looked me straight in the eyes, saying that no one has the right to treat a woman this way. He spoke completely calmly, without pathos or loud promises. There was only certainty in his voice. "Trust me for just a few minutes." I had never trusted people so quickly before. But for some reason, I felt right then that this man wouldn't let anyone hurt me more. I nodded slowly. Alexander took my hand immediately. His palm was warm and steady. He confidently led me to the center of the hall. The musicians looked at the organizers with questions. The host was completely lost. But Alexander calmly asked for the microphone. "Good evening." His deep voice instantly made the whole room go quiet. Even the children stopped making noise. Sometimes life changes the script in just a few minutes. That is exactly what happened today. But no one is planning to cancel the celebration. The guests exchanged glances. No one understood anything. Alexander looked at me, then suddenly raised my hand. The most important thing now is for the bride to have someone beside her who respects her. A surprised whisper rippled through the hall. I felt hundreds of gazes, but for the first time in the last hour, I stopped feeling ashamed. At that moment, the banquet hall door swung open sharply. Everyone turned at once. Igor appeared on the threshold. Next to him stood a stunning brunette in an expensive red dress. He was breathing heavily, as if he had run here without stopping. Seeing me next to Alexander, he froze. His face changed. What is going on here? Complete silence fell over the hall. Igor walked closer with quick steps. Lena, what is this circus? I remained silent. He looked at Alexander. Let go of her hand. Alexander didn't even move. I believe you have already given up that privilege. Igor smirked. This is a family matter. You are mistaken. Who even are you? Her boss. Then don't interfere. Alexander smiled calmly. I interfered the moment you decided to abandon a woman on her wedding day. Igor looked at me, irritated. Lena, enough of this performance. I'm back. Let's go home. As if nothing had happened. Those words unexpectedly made me smile. Dad. Bitter? 4 years of a relationship? And the man genuinely believed that one word, back, was enough. Home? I asked calmly. Of course. After the text message, Igor frowned. I acted in the heat of the moment. Did you write that you love another woman? He glanced quickly at the girl beside him. She clearly felt uncomfortable. Everything had changed. In half an hour. He didn't answer. Instead, he took another step forward. Listen, don't make a scene. People are watching. For the first time, I felt a strange calm. Before, I would have started making excuses, begging for explanations, searching for reasons. But now, something inside me had finally snapped. Are you the one making a scene? Igor sharply raised his voice. Yeah, stop it. Alexander calmly pulled out his phone. I think it's time to end this conversation. He dialed a short number. A minute later, the doors opened again. 2 men in formal suits entered the hall. Behind them appeared a well-known notary, whom many guests recognized immediately. He handed a thick folder to Alexander. Everything is ready? Alexander opened the documents, then looked straight at Igor. Do you really want to continue this conversation in front of everyone? Igor's face turned pale instantly. What are you talking about? About the fact that for the last 7 months you haven't just been cheating on your fiancée. You've been using her family for your own gain? The guests gasped. My father slowly stepped closer. Alexander, what is happening? He calmly handed him the documents. These are statements, contracts, and bank transfers. Your future son-in-law was systematically siphoning money through shell companies set up under fake names. Father began flipping through the papers. His face grew more and more serious. Igor became visibly nervous. That's a lie? But Alexander had already pulled out another document. Then explain why you are planning to leave the country this week right after the wedding? A heavy silence fell over the hall again. And at that very moment, the ex-fiancée, or rather, the girl Igor brought with him, slowly took a few steps back, realizing that the truth was only just beginning to unfold. Father remained silent for a long time, never taking his eyes off the papers. It seemed every new page destroyed everything he had believed in for years. Finally, he slowly lifted his eyes to Igor. It's true. Igor gave a nervous chuckle. Of course not. He set all of this up, but his voice no longer sounded confident. Father calmly pulled a bank statement from the folder, then another. Every document had signatures, dates, and stamps. There was no doubt left. Mom covered her face with her hands. She had always treated Igor like a son, helping him, supporting his ideas, even insisting that our family cover most of the wedding expenses. Now she couldn't believe she had been used this whole time. The guests were silent. Some had already stopped recording with their phones. Even the most curious realized that it wasn't just a wedding falling apart right now. A carefully constructed lie was crumbling. The girl who had come with Igor took a few steps back. She looked at him in a completely different way. "You said it was all over long ago," she said quietly. Igor turned to her, annoyed. "Now is not the time." "No, this is exactly the time." She looked at the documents. "You said she was the one who dumped you." Then she shifted her gaze to me. Her eyes showed sincere shock. She realized she had also become a part of the deception. Without saying another word, she took off the ring on her finger, placed it in front of Igor, and left the hall in silence. He wanted to stop her, but she didn't even turn around. For the first time ever, Igor was left completely alone. His father walked slowly toward him. "Give back the office keys." "What, right now?" "Yes, you no longer work at my company." Igor tried to object, but his father had already turned away. That was the final decision. At that moment, Alexander calmly approached me. He remained very composed, without unnecessary emotions or a desire to look like a hero. He simply said quietly, "It's all over." I looked at him. No. He raised his eyebrows in question. "It's only just beginning." For the first time that day, I felt a sense of relief. I wasn't thinking about the ruined wedding, the betrayal, or what people would say, because I suddenly understood one simple thing. If a person can abandon you on the most important day of your life, then they were never meant to be your destiny. A few days later, I returned to work. To be honest, I was scared. I was afraid to see Alexander after everything that had happened. But it turned out to be different. When I walked into the office, he didn't even mention the wedding. He just smiled. "Good morning." "Good morning. Ready to work?" I laughed unexpectedly. "Yes." He nodded. "Then let's begin." That was exactly what helped me finally recover. He didn't pity me, didn't remind me of the past, and didn't try to take advantage of the situation. He simply treated me with respect. Weeks passed, then months. We talked about more than just work. Sometimes we had dinner together after difficult negotiations.